Ramadan Mubarak and welcome to the second edition of Majlis. Every business requires a strong foundation, and financing is probably the most vital aspect of it. If you're an entrepreneur or a business trying to make it big in this market, then this conversation is for you. Joining me today as our next guest in this beautiful location at W Muscat is Mr. Faisal Al Nabhani. Faisal, thank you for being here this evening. Ramadan Mubarak to you and your family.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your journey, tell us about your career, tell us about your experiences so far.
Well, firstly, thank you, Paul, and thanks to the Arabian Stories for inviting me to this interview. And Ramadan Mubarak to you and to your viewers as well. So, in terms of your question, how I got to where I am, the career journey. So, I started off as a lawyer, actually, working for the Ministry of Legal Affairs, straight out of university. And I spent around 5 years working for that ministry. I had a very good time. I learned a lot. And then after that, I moved to Geneva to work in the diplomatic corps, handling the World Trade Organization file from the mission of Oman to the United Nations. And I did this for around 6 years, 6 or 7 years, I think. It was a fantastic time. I learned a lot during that process. And it really helped to build my skill set. After that, I moved to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and Investment Promotion. I worked there for a few years. I believe it's 2 to 3 years in the international cooperation sphere. And then I decided to take the leap to the private sector and head up State Street's rep office in Oman. And I'm currently managing director, heading the State Street office in Oman and also representing State Street in Qatar. So I'm performing this dual role.
Right. So having had such an expansive career, what is the one thing that you carry along with you? It could be a skill set, it could be a thought, or it could be a mindset, all throughout your journey up until this point?
A mindset, I would say, wherever you are, try your best to learn from your colleagues as well as your mentors. I feel that every place you work in has something that can help you develop both professionally and as a person.
Right.
And these skills happen to be transferable as well. So whether you're working as a negotiator, for example, as I used to in Geneva for the government,
right,
or whether you're working in the private sector, these negotiating skills are invaluable. You require them in most areas. And that's just one example. So I would say do your best to learn as much as you can wherever you are and to maximize on the opportunity,
right,
by doing that much more. Even if you put a lot of effort, what differentiates, for example, if we talk about any professional, what differentiates a good professional from a great professional is that 10% extra effort you put at the end of it.
That's a great way to put it. Now, having seen the market here, the financial landscape here in Oman and in Middle East is rapidly changing. For the next 5 years, what do you think is the next big thing that's happening here in Oman?
In Oman, there's a lot happening in Oman. And you can see this from the news and from social media. Whether we're talking about renewable energy, for example, or fintech. There's so much going on at the moment, and there's a lot of interest that's being generated for the Middle East, the Gulf, and Oman included in this picture. And I think what's important and what you'll start to see is Oman taking strides to differentiate itself from the others, because every country has comparative advantages.
Right.
And we also have comparative advantages. The green energy experts will tell you that. Our green credentials, for example, the combination of excellent wind and solar conditions, or, for example, the long seashore that we've got, combined with the fact of our geo-strategic location,
Yeah.
all of these factors make us a really a fantastic place to work, to do business, and attract investments as well. So I think within the next 5 years, you're going to see quite a sizable and significant shift.
You've seen a lot of diplomatic exchanges take place. You yourself have been part about it. So when we build partnerships, especially from a business perspective or from a country's perspective, what do you think is the strategy that needs to be applied for someone who's starting a business, for someone who's trying to crack a big deal? Strategically, what is that one thing that they need to have an edge over the communications bit about it?
I think what you just said is very important. You finished that question with over the communications. That's exactly what you need. You need good communication skills. You need to know your audience because no one size fits all, right? Every place has its own unique circumstances. And you, as somebody who wants to do business, right, if you're new to the game, you need to appreciate what these differences are. You need to understand your audience. And you need to demonstrate that understanding. So it's not often the case. So it's this combination of things where strategically you need to do your research, understand what you're getting into, and really listen to your audience.
Let's talk about investments. There are a lot of investments coming into Oman from international shows. What do you think is the most important aspect of it? How is it shaping Oman's financial landscape in the next couple of years?
Right. So that's correct. I mean, there's quite a bit of investment coming into the country from various sources. I think, what's being done at the moment is quite significant. If you look over the past few years, for example, the budget deficit reduced by around, I believe it is 40% or so. The sort of recent mergers of large entities in the financial space, the reactionary sort of development of rules and regulations to keep up with changes. I think all of these factors are a clear indication of Oman's trajectory in the financial space. We should also mention that we've got, a burgeoning fintech space at the moment. It's still small, but you do have a lot of creative, innovative, hardworking people that are also growing this space. Homegrown, mind you. This is something as well that we should look out for. Private credit is another thing that is growing. I mean, you're talking about an industry that's, I believe, currently in a global scale, I believe around $2.5 trillion, right? And so, we have to position ourselves in Oman. And the GCC is also doing that, by the way. Don't get me wrong. The GCC is, head on, trying as well to get a big part of that, a big chunk of that. And in Oman, we're doing the same. We're putting a lot of effort. I believe the government is putting a lot of effort. Private sector is also doing a lot, and there's going to come a time where all of these efforts will align, and I believe, as I mentioned, we'll see quite a good shift.
You mentioned fintech quite a lot of times in your past answers, so I want to kind of lead us to a trajectory about SMEs. Oman is doing a lot for SMEs. A lot of SMEs popping up every month, every year. So from the fintech perspective, how are we training, or how is Oman training these SMEs to harness the power that Oman has from its natural sources or its connections to aid these local businesses?
So SMEs, it's something that most countries devote a lot of resources to, because in most countries, SMEs constitute. Let's talk about the industrialized countries, right? Industrialized or developed countries. The SME space normally constitutes upwards of 90%, if not more, of the entire economy. Right? This is just to give you an example of how important this sector is, the small and medium enterprises sector. And in Oman, I know that there's a push right now to support the SME sector and to ensure that small and medium enterprises have the wherewithal to be able to develop and grow and really be not just growth in their own right, but be an engine for growth and support other industries as well. So I think in order to do that, we would really need to define things in a better way. I mean, what are SMEs? What's the definition at the moment in Oman? What kind of segment of the local companies does that definition apply to? Is it 80%? Is it 50%? Is it more? Is it less? That's the first step. And then I would believe that when you talk about fintech would be able to empower those SMEs who, for example, don't get enough access to trade finance, who don't get good access to banks. These fintech companies would be able to provide an alternative route for SMEs to help them achieve their objectives and to help support their growth. So I believe it's, define this sector, do a SWOT analysis of what's missing and what we want to position ourselves as in this SME space, right? We can't do everything. So what's our niche? And then everything will follow.
So say we are starting a business right now. In this current market, what are some passive income streams we should be thinking about if you are a business in this very competitive space that we're in right now, with a lot of markets in play?
I mean, I'm not gonna at this give financial advice in this interview, but I think what you mentioned is really important in terms of passive investments, right, and passive income. I think passive income is a fantastic way to diversify your portfolio, to ensure that in addition to whatever income streams you have, that you also have something that you keep for a rainy day as an individual or as a company or as an investment fund or manager. So that's definitely, it's our middle name. Passive income is so important.
Tell me what leadership means to you. Tell me your definition that you follow through for when you talk about leadership, and what's your take on it?
That's a very good question. How long have you got?
You can go on and on.
So, look, for me, leadership, if I were to sort of, give you one sentence about what leadership is, to me personally, leadership is about empowering others. It's about being able to guide your peers and the people who work with you in a manner that helps them maximize their potential. If you're able to do that as a good leader, then you're able to unleash an amazing amount of energy, creativity, and innovative spirit.
So if you were to turn back and roll back the years, you're quite young still, but if you were to look back at your younger self, what is the one thing you want to probably tell that younger self, for all the years that's left in your career, when you look back and see?
I'd tell my younger self, what would I tell my younger self? Have fun. Have more fun, actually. Because, people, and it's a good thing, you should be ambitious, absolutely. And you should put in the hard work. But you should also leave some time for, to enjoy as well, to enjoy your time, to have a good time with your family, to enjoy the many pleasures of life. Because I feel that in order for you really to give your best, you really also need to be at a place where you are feeling comfortable, where you are feeling that you are able to exert this effort. And so I think the two go hand in hand. And this is something actually that's currently, being appreciated more, even in some areas where people are notoriously, working all-nighters and what have you. Currently, there's this thought. It's not just a thought. There's this move, really, to appreciate and to offer employees a solid work-life balance. And the reason is not just for the well-being of the employees, but it's also because they've realized that having a good work-life balance actually makes people a lot more productive. So,
well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Faisal. You heard it straight from him. That's probably the best advice anyone wants to hear.
Thank you,
right
thank
now.
you. Well, I hope it's good advice. Let's see.
Thank you for being here with us.
Appreciate
It's
it.
great
Thank
to have
you
a
very
chat
much.
with you. Ramadan Mubarak once again to you and your family.
Ramadan Mubarak.
And to all our viewers, you heard it straight from him. Hope these words inspire you to do great in your life. And for more content on Majlis, keep following us.